This is not the first time that Ukraine has struck an enterprise in the Yelabuga region of the Republic of Tatarstan, where the Shahed UAV production plant is located, among other places. This was stated by retired Ukrainian Armed Forces Colonel and instructor pilot Roman Svitan on Radio NV. This time the event was carried out by strike UAVs, which after dropping Fab 250, and we have more than 1,000 bombs, they hit certain targets, Svitan said. At the same time, he added that the strike did not hit the production of the Shaheeds themselves or their Russian analogues, the Gerans, but the Chinese Sunflower-200 UAVs. Therefore, it is very important to get there. So they cannot assemble these sunflowers, and therefore the approach chosen was very correct, added Svitan. Recall on April the 23rd, the Armed Forces of Ukraine launched a long-range strike on a high-value Russian military-industrial facility located in the Republic of Tatarstan, a region deep inside the Russian Federation, more than 1,000 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. The target was a drone manufacturing plant situated within the Yelabuga Special Economic Zone, a key industrial cluster that has become increasingly involved in supporting Russia's war effort. According to the Ukrainian Forces General Staff, the attacked facility has the capacity to produce up to 300 combat drones per day. These drones are believed to be used in Russian operations against Ukraine, including strikes on civilian infrastructure and frontline positions. The factory is located 1,054 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. The statement confirmed successful impacts and explosions at the site, including damage to the final assembly workshop of the drone production line. The full extent of the damage is still being assessed. This strike is a just response to a key strategic military facility used to sustain Russia's armed aggression and terror against civilians in Ukraine, the General Staff stated. The attacks highlights Ukraine's growing ability to project force at long range, potentially through the use of domestically produced long-range drones or modified Western systems. As Russia increasingly leans on drone warfare as a cost-effective and scalable component of its military campaign, the disruption of its drone supply chain could carry notable operational consequences. Facilities like the one in Yelabuga represent a significant node in this network, and their vulnerability may raise new questions about the Kremlin's ability to shield critical assets from Ukrainian reach. The Ukrainian Armed Forces carried out an impressive operation in the Kherson region. They managed to destroy the hangars where the Russian army hid its S-400 Triumph anti-aircraft missile system. The details were published by the influential Russian Telegram channel Spy Dossier, which is believed to be linked to the Russian Armed Forces. The strike was carried out more than a week ago on April the 11th using drones. The target was hangars in the village of Sorokin in the Kursk region, approximately 100 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. There, the Russians were hiding a very expensive military facility, Triumph. According to the resource, the strike damaged almost all components of the air defense system. The R149AKSH-1 command and staff vehicle, the 96L6-1V radar station, and two 5P85 SM201 launchers. In addition, 6 48N6DM guided missiles used by Triumph were destroyed. Each missile costs about $1 million. It should be noted that the destroyed R149AKSH-1 costs about $500,000. Each of the destroyed launchers costs another $10 million. The price of the 96L6-1V radar is not disclosed, but it is the most important and expensive part of the air defense system. The complex was evacuated to assess the damage, Spy Dossier reported. Earlier, media reported that British intelligence confirmed the destruction of the S-400 in Crimea. The operation was carried out on November the 29th. Eyewitnesses wrote about powerful explosions in the area on social networks. The British confirmed the loss of the S-400 by the Russians. The images show 2 craters with diameters of 13.5 meters formed as a result of the impact, as well as scattered debris and 5 emergency vehicles, British intelligence noted. And near Kursk, ATACMS missiles eliminated several officers of the Russian armed forces with the S-400 air defense missile system. On November the 23rd, a missile strike was launched against the Russian S-400 anti-aircraft missile system, which was stationed in the village of Bolshozirovo in the Fatesky district of the Kursk region of the Russian Federation, as a result of which military equipment and 5 officers of the Russian army were destroyed, as well as equipment and, according to preliminary data, several rank-and-file personnel. The devastating and highly successful strike was reportedly carried out by 3 ATACMS ballistic missiles. The Russian army is showing signs of a collapse of the front in the Belgorod region. Assault units of the Russian armed forces have deserted en masse in the area of the Ukrainian Armed Forces offensive. This was reported by the Z Resource Northern Channel associated with the Russian armed forces. According to Northern Channel, the problem for the Russian armed forces arose in the Demidovka, Grafovka, Popovka, Goptarovka section. This is a border section of the Belgorod region which is being stormed by units of the Ukrainian Defense Forces. Information is coming from several sources at once about the desertion of assault units. Z and V, wrote the Z channel. According to him, the deserting groups are mainly made up of prisoners recruited in Russian prisons. They change into civilian clothes and try to travel deep into Russian territory. There is information that fire was opened on our own during the escape. The situation is being clarified. Severny Kanal wrote, "Recall Russians are deploying a massive amount of infantry to push Ukrainians out of their second incursion across the Russian border before new Ukrainian reinforcements can consolidate their positions." However, before Russians could get into position, Ukrainians used a devastating series of airstrikes to wipe out Russian troop concentrations left and right, absolutely destroying the Russian response. The goal of the Ukrainian forces in this area is to disperse the Russian focus away from their offensive in the Sumy region. To achieve this, Ukrainians aim to fight on a battlefield of their choosing by deploying forces to strengthen their incursion in the Belgorod region. The main Ukrainian disadvantage in Sumy is that the Russians are concentrating the entirety of their former Kursk contingent in one place, which consists of approximately 62,000 soldiers with only half of the previously active frontline length. By expanding the fighting into more favorable terrain in Belgorod, Ukrainian forces can stretch Russian lines and gain a tactical edge. Unlike northern Sumy, Belgorod offers a larger network of minor roads, complicating Russian efforts to monitor and target Ukrainian logistics. Dense forests provide ample cover for troop movements, concealed positions, and storage of equipment. Moreover, Ukraine has already destroyed key bridges and river crossings in the area, further weakening Russia's limited logistical network and complicating its ability to sustain operations.